have a short slide presentation. My understanding is that the conversation is more around workforce development and sort of kind of the work that we're doing here. So I want to just go over this briefly, and I want to leave as much time as possible for questions, because I know that's always important. Every time I do the presentation, there's always lots of questions. And I also understand that you all were able to view our website and everything beforehand. So I'll just do a little brief overview of who we are and what we do around workforce. So we're the Green Door Initiative. Our mission is to ensure that everyone is environmental literate and capable of practicing and promoting an sustainable lifestyle. Our workforce development program, we call it the Environmental Career Worker Training Program, which is really long. So a lot of times we refer to it as our Green Jobs Training Program. We have been doing this for almost 13 years. We originally started through a consortium with the Deep South Center for Environmental Justice and the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences. So our early years of our program were really focused around environmental remediation and restoration within low-income neighborhoods and communities, in particular in Detroit, around environmental justice communities. So we are really rooted in all of the environmental justice. Our work all centers around that. So we kind of organize ourselves outside of our workforce program. We, as you probably saw on our website, we focus around youth. We have a heavy youth component at our organization. We do air quality. We do a lot of work around policy and community organizing and community engagement, as well as the workforce and renewable energy work that I'm going to share a little more about today. So because of that background with really looking at how do we target and engage those who have systematically been left out of the conversation, even when it comes to workforce development. So here in the city of Detroit, we are a union city. A lot of the skilled trades, a lot of the environmental remediation work is done through unions or by unions or union-run companies. So for years, we saw that the residents in the city of Detroit were being left out of the conversation when it came to new jobs around arenas that were being built in the city of Detroit, around cleanup efforts that were happening in the city of Detroit. And these were high-paying, high-wage, family-sustaining jobs that contractors were coming into the city, and union in particular were saying, we can't find any qualified candidates in your city. So they were bringing in outside workers from other states, from other cities, and not allowing the residents that have been there and probably suffered the most burden from the environmental toxins that happen and that may have happened in the sites in their neighborhood. So because our goal is to reach those populations that are typically underrepresented, we target low-income residents, returning citizens, at-risk youth, justice-involved youth, and just anyone who maybe is unemployed or underemployed. So we consider underemployed like maybe you work at McDonald's, or you don't have maybe you didn't or didn't receive your high school diploma. So we're helping those individuals move out of those arenas into actual career pathways. So because of that, we start with basic skills. So how our training program is set up, we have 12 weeks of training in our core training pod. We do basic skills, everything from study skills, math, introduction to hazardous materials, life skills. We do financial literacy, job readiness. We even do physical fitness, because some of these jobs, you have to be physical fit to go into them. We do individual counseling as well as group counseling with our students. Everyone is required to sit through them. And then we also have, when the students come into the class and are first accepted into class, we ask them what topics they're interested in. And based on that, we bring in employers or speakers based on their interests for them to kind of learn more about different industries. After that first 6 weeks, we do technical skills. So our students receive licenses and certifications in various areas. We like to say we're building their toolbox out for them. So regardless of what arena they go into, they'll be able to have enough certifications to sustain them at multiple levels of a company or a job that they may be in. So we do construction. The students do a full-on construction. We use a certification called NCCER. We use it for most of our technical skills, including solar, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. So they do the full-on construction. They do weatherization, which is kind of our prep for them, getting them thinking about how does renewable energy play into the work that they will be doing, or if they want to start their own company around what that looks like. And then we do health and safety. We are big on health and safety. We know that our population, a lot of times when they do go on these job sites, they don't know their rights on these job sites and they end up getting hurt. They end up, whether they get hurt on the job site from something falling on them or breaking something, or they're exposed to long-term chronic diseases because they've been exposed to hazardous materials and they were not aware of how to protect themselves. So our students get their state lead license, they get their state asbestos license. We do 40-hour HAZWOPER with them. We do OSHA. And then we have a job developer, a full-time job developer that works with them and creates career pathways for them and places them into employment. I would say at this point, we have a 92% job placement rate. So we like to say that everyone that goes through the training program and graduates from the program, if they want a job, there's a job for them. The only reason we are not at 100% because we know some people just choose not to go to work when they're finished. And so we try to encourage everyone and hold everyone's hand through the process of placement. And then we have about 30% of our graduates that finish our program, they walk into apprenticeship programs with unions. So we have a couple different partnerships with unions throughout the city. So the electrical union, the carpenters, and the operating engineers are our main unions that we work with as of now. So a little bit about phase 2 of our training program. The last 12 months, I'm counting it in months because I'm like a year is so short. We launched what we call our Motor City to Solar City. So this started because we were looking at our workforce development program as it stands, our 12-week long program. And our motto has always been, you have to clean up to green up because of the issues going on in the city of Detroit. The city of Detroit itself, pretty much the whole city is designated as a brownfield site. So there's lots of environmental cleanup work that has to happen before anything new can be considered. So we've done a really good job and we know that we can do that type of training. So 12 months ago, we decided we're gonna walk into this green world. Like, what does renewable energy look like? So we started to explore from our alumni students that have come out of our training program, as well as some of the other community members that we work with on other projects, mainly our air quality project. In some of our community organizing work, we started having conversations with them about what would they want to see in the city of Detroit. So from that, we targeted a neighborhood in the northeast side of the city. And this was our pilot program last year. The house that you see in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, we took a house and we said, what would it look like if we truly made renewable energy, affordable for the ones that are suffering the most burden from the energy? So in the city of Detroit, our utility is called DTE. And when we looked at what other middle to upper income individuals were paying for their utility bills, and we looked at what low income residents were paying, almost all of them, 50% of their income was going to utility bill. They could easily receive a bill of $500 or $600 in the middle of winter. So December, January, February. And our residents started telling us more about, even some of them had gone to the point where if they could not afford their utility in their home, they were being threatened for their children to be removed from their home because they don't have proper heating or lighting or sometimes running water for their homes. So what we did with this, we said, well, this could be our pilot house. So in partnership with the Department of Energy, they were our very first funders down this pathway that ultimately is leading us to a full-on community solar project. We said, well, we'll take this house in the middle of the neighborhood. The house before we got it was an abandoned house. I should have added a different picture, but on either side of the house, there's two vacant lots, which is not unusual for the city of Detroit. We have lots of vacant land. Um, and we made this house our classroom. So our students did all the work in the house. They did all the construction, they did all the weatherization. When it came time to install solar in the house, the students, um, some of them were able to observe, but we did a full-on lesson with them around solar. That full disclosure, we've only been in the solar world 12 months. So it's a huge learning curve for us, but it was successful. The house currently is being occupied by an alumni from our training program. He is a returning citizen. Him and his daughter live there. When he came home from prison, he started in our program. He had maybe been out 3 weeks. He went all the way through the program. He went in the field and worked for 6 months. And then we actually brought him back to our organization. So he currently works for us as well. And so we've had a lot of conversation with other residents in that neighborhood, looking at what that would look like for them. But the larger vision is a building directly across the street from this school. It's a vacant and abandoned school building, and the neighborhood residents wanted it to be like a centerpiece for the neighborhood. They're tired of it being abandoned. They're tired of the things that go on in the building because it's vacant and abandoned. The neighborhood is actually a thriving neighborhood because they have so many young people that live in that neighborhood. And that is really one of the main concerns, is that one of them would get hurt in the building, or someone could be in there to do harm for them. So we're in talks right now with the city. The city currently owns the building. They have agreed to give us site control of the building. And now we're going through the process of, what does that look like? What does community solar look like for that neighborhood? So I'm currently in class myself. I'm doing a class, community solar development class through the Department of Energy. And they're been very helpful in helping us work out what that looks like, or what that will look like for the community, especially in a state that does not have any enabling legislation for community solar. So we know that our project will look a little different. And then also from that, we've tapped into a lot of the small businesses that align in that neighborhood. And looking at small business or entrepreneur classes for the residents in that neighborhood who want to start businesses or who want to do something around renewable energy. Um, so it's been very insightful. It's been a fast 12 months, but we hope that we'll be able to get the impact that the residents are looking for in that neighborhood very soon. So that's it. So does anyone have any questions?